Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another At America TV event with me, Jasmine. I hope you all are doing well. So for those of you joining us for the first time, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. We have temporarily moved to a digital platform so you can still enjoy all of our events at the comfort of your own home. So for tonight, we will be discussing from two-year community college to U.S. universities, is this the right pathway for you? But before you begin, I would like to share with you that At America is having a giveaway. As part of our 10th anniversary celebration and also the month of togetherness, we're inviting you guys so you guys don't miss out on a chance to receive a treat for feast. Now, how can you guys participate in our giveaway? Stay tuned until the end of the program because that's when I'll be sharing with you guys how to do so. And also before we begin, I would like to share with you guys our social media quiz question for this evening. So the question is, true or false, attending a community college can be a good way for students to transition to a higher education institution and learn at their own pace. So is that fact true or false? You guys can participate in our social media quiz by commenting on our social media platform. And for those of you who got the answer correctly, you will get a live shout out from us at the end of the program. All right, without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator for this evening, one of our Education USA advisors here at America, Ms. Santika Salim.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our event again tonight. And, we will have a lot of good discussion tonight. But before that, I want all of you to feel that you have options to watch us from all of other platforms. So if you're in Zoom, welcome. You can use the chat box however you like. You can ask questions and be interactive with all of our participants here. If you prefer to watch from YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or Instagram Live, feel free to drop your questions there as well in the comment box, and our team will pass it to us. So thank you everyone for coming. My name is Santika. I'm one of the advisors in Education USA at America Center. And today we will have a very special discussion with my colleague, Fina. I will call her really soon. And our speaker today, Patricia, and I will introduce you guys really soon after I have this introduction. As all of you guys know, if this is not your first time, we always have the introduction of Education USA at America, just to give you a very good overview of what we can do for you if you are planning to study to the United States. All right, so I will share my presentation. And here you go. All right, so what is Education USA? We are a U.S. Department of State. We network over 400 international student advising center in more than 170 countries. So we are basically everywhere in this around this world. You just need to find the closest center that you can find to you, and I will show you what we have in Indonesia later. And the network promotes U.S. higher education to students around the world. We offer accurate, comprehensive, and current information on the opportunities to study to the United States. And of course, we are talking about bachelor, master, and PhD. So if you are planning to, study to the States in any of those degrees, feel free to find us. All right. So in Indonesia, we have 8 centers and total of 10 advisors. I can read all of this to you. So in Jakarta, we have 2 centers, one in the U.S. Embassy Jakarta, and one is here in At America, Pacific Place Mall. So as you can see, in the U.S. Embassy, we have 2 advisors, David and Iqbal. And in At America, there is me, Santika, and there's Fina as well. And we also have 2 in Surabaya, U.S. Consulate General in Surabaya. The advisor is Hesky, and then the next one is in Universitas Erlangga Unair, Surabaya as well. You can find the advisor there. She is called Ambar. And then next one, we move to Medan. We have Jeffrey there. It's located in the U.S. Consulate as well. And next one in Malang, we are in Universitas Muhammadiyah. We have Zaki there. And in Makassar, we are in Universitas Fajar. We have Cendani there. And last but not least, we are also available in Banda Aceh, in Universitas Islam Negeri UIN Araniri. We have Lilis there. So if you are not in Jakarta, you are somewhere else in Indonesia, you can simply try to find the closest center to you. A heads up, you probably, if you're in trying to contact Surabaya, you probably want to try the one in Universitas Airlangga Unair first, because we are still figuring things out for the U.S. Consulate General Center, and as well as the one in Medan. I think it's temporarily unavailable for now, so you can try to go to the nearest, the next nearest one. So yeah, that's that. And next one. Okay, so these are our services. We have 5 steps to guide everyone who come to us to study to the States. Regardless of its bachelor, master, or PhD, this is our guidelines or the steps that you can try to follow to make it more organized on your planning. So the first step is researching your options. In here, you need to find out what are the programs that you are interested to apply to. The schools, the universities, know your options. And if you have confusion on how to sort down your priorities, our advisors are here to help you, talk about it, discuss about it. Maybe you have certain preferences that you don't prefer certain area in the United States. So we can suggest you to find universities in other region in United States, because they have 50 states, so you can really choose, And the second step is finance your studies. So if you need funding, you are trying to apply for scholarship, you're looking for, partial, whether it's partial or full funding scholarship, we can give you a general overview of your options, but you are the one who will, of course, chase the scholarship and apply for it, make your best application possible. And then we move to the third step, which is as crucial as, of course, the second step. We like to say the second and the third step to be parallel. So you don't want to, try your best to find funding and then you kind of leave the university application later on. If you can, you want to make that a parallel timeline. So the third one is completing your application to the U.S. universities. And here you will, all of the things that you need to apply, which generally are like essay, your CV or resume, your standardized test, whether it's English or like GRE or SAT if you are in applying for the undergrad. And then you also need letter of recommendations. You also need your transcript. So those are the general things that you need to apply to U.S. universities, whether it's for bachelor, master or PhD. But for community college, it's a bit different, and we will talk about it later on. It's a lot simpler in terms of the requirements for the application, and that's a plus, one of the plus for you going to the community college first. And in this third step also, it's very crucial for you to come early to FINA or me or other Education USA advisors if you are seeking, our very famous, highly demanded service, which is essay review and CV or resume review, which is available here in Education USA at America. You want to come in early. You don't want to come in near your deadline, which most likely is also the deadline for other people who are trying to apply to United States. And so we will have to, prioritize those who come first, and that's our system. So if you come early to us, you will get more time with us, basically. And the fourth step is applying for your student visa. So here, we assume that you already got accepted to any U.S. universities that you apply to. With the strategy, of course, not only applying to just one university, you want to apply to approximately 6 universities in each of the category, which is Dream, Target, and Safety schools. But if not, you probably can just apply to a few, not 6 maybe, but definitely more than 1 or 2 universities there, okay? So once you got accepted, letter of acceptance from the university, you will want to try to apply for your student visa. And here we can give you the step-by-step on how you can apply for your student visa. Of course, you are also the one who will apply for your visa, and we are kind of like a separate from the visa council. So if you have specific questions on the visa application very technical questions, we will kind of give you the context so that you can ask the visa counsel directly through the email. And the fifth one is preparing for your departure. So this one is basically this is our yearly event. Basically, we invite everyone who have been accepted to enroll in the same year. And since all of our events are open for public and free, everyone who feels, encouraged to come in, of course, are welcome to come in, whether or not you have the LOA or not. But you can also come in to just network. What we will do in the pre-departure orientation is basically briefing you on maybe your travel plans, how to find housing options, and what would you do in the first week when you arrive in the United States. And these days, because of the pandemic, it's probably additional stuff like whether or not you need, what are the things that you need maybe for your quarantine and everything like that, which you can coordinate with your university later on. So things like that. And I just want to, give you an overview of all of the steps. We are the supporter. I would love to say that, like, we are the supporter. We are behind you. You are the one who will be in front, and we will be here whenever you need us to help you answer questions. And if you have any doubts or you need to just clarify certain things and you need some review of your essay and CV and resume. So basically, you will do everything on your own, like submitting everything yourself, but we are here to guide you throughout all of the steps, okay? And even if you already in the United States, you are studying there and maybe you graduated and you came back, you can still come to us and, like Patricia, you can try to contribute to us back and be our speaker to share your journey, okay? So meet the advisors here. Like I said, there's the two of us. There are the two of us here. There's Fina and there's me. And we do one-on-one advising, even though we are currently moving to all digital platforms. So we do one-on-one advising from Zoom since last year. And the Zoom meeting ID is 276-124-396. And our advising hour is every day from 1 until 9 p.m., except when, of course, event like this is going on. Fina and I are here, so we are unable to stand by on the Zoom for the advising, okay? And this is how you also can contact us. You can email us to jakarta.atamerica@educationusa.org. If you are too shy to just drop by our Zoom during our hours, then you can just email us first. And then you can check our upcoming events from our website, atamerica.or.id/educationusa. Or you can just go to educationusa.state.gov to find more. If you're interested to see other centers in Indonesia's events as well, you can just go to the upper links website. You can see all of the events there. So I will verbally brief you through what we will have next month, what we will have in mind next month, and I'll stop sharing this first. So what we have in mind for next month is actually 5 events. So we will have our monthly events, which is, how to write statement of purpose, personal essay, and how to build strong CVs and letter of recommendations. Those are our monthly events. So it will be there. You just need to stay tuned to the dates from our website, www.atamerica.or.id. And we will also have another undergraduate themed event. The plan is on kind of like the second week of June. It will be something like 5 steps to study in the United States. So it's more detailed than my introduction just now on the 5 steps. I will go a bit deeper on maybe how you want to choose the community college or the university directly. So as a freshman, or you go to community college first and everything like that. And maybe what are the things that you need to prepare since you are in high school and everything that involves your preparation on that. So that's that for the overview of our event. And of course, I don't want all of you to miss a very important event as well. If you know anyone who wants to go to United States for the graduate schools, like the master or PhD, you can tell them to come to our events because most of our events are actually tailored for graduate applicants. But undergrad applicants are surely welcome here, and you can definitely learn a lot of things too, even if we are talking about the stuff that's more commonly heard when you are applying for master or PhD. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And I will invite our lovely speakers today. Hi, Vina, and hi, Patricia.
Hi, Santika. Hi,
Hi.
Patricia.
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Great.
Good.
Okay, so
And Patricia is in New York, by the way, just in
Yeah.
case you guys are watching this,
Yeah.
wondering where Patricia is right now.
Mhm.
Patricia is in the US, very jealous. I'm very jealous with Santika as well. You are at America, so it's so good to have you guys.
Yeah, so good to have you guys. And thank you so much, especially to Patricia for joining us from New York. And I just want to give a bit of overview of our guest speaker today, which is Patricia. She was an alumni of Green River Community College and Columbia University. And she took computer science for her bachelor degree. And that is very interesting, and we will talk a lot more about that. Fina and I definitely have so much question, yeah, Fina, yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and again, I want to let all of you guys know, wherever you're watching, you can drop your questions. Whether you're in Zoom, you can drop it in the chat box. If you're watching from YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram Live, use the comment box, drop your questions there, and our team will pass it to Fina and me here. And we will ask Patricia so that you can learn from her experience. Because a lot of people actually think, I will start with the statement or kind of like a misconception, I would say, Fina and Patricia, that if you go to community college, you cannot go to like highly selective schools like Columbia. And that, I think, is a big misconception that limits or narrow your options to achieve your bachelor degree in the United States. So what do you think, Fina and Patricia, based on your experience?
Yeah, if I can actually just start a little bit, because you actually make a really good point, Santika, because community college, there are still a lot of stigmas going on when it comes to community college, not just from students, but actually from some schools here in Indonesia, or even some parents who kind of, no, I don't want to send my kids to community college. Like I want to send my kids to this highly selective universities, And then now we have Patricia to basically debunk that it is actually possible. And there are actually so many other students out there who are successfully able to actually transfer to, we call it highly selective universities here in Education USA from community college. So I have tons of questions already. And again, if you guys are watching this, want to know more about it, please listen to our discussion. What I love about how Education USA America set up this kind of event is that no presentation slides. This is basically just us discussing, a variety of topics. And so, tonight we're focusing on community college. And so, what do you think, Patricia?
I've definitely got that statement a lot, especially from my high school friends once I decided I want to go to community college. Like, it's very, like, I was probably, like, an average performer in high school. Like, my grades are, like, okay, but, like, I was participating in a lot of things. I was in all the clubs, like, name it, yearbook, drama, choir, whatever. It's, like, and then my friends were expecting me to go to, like, quote-unquote, better school. But then, like, I was kind of, like, shocked about that, but once I got into community college, I learned that probably this is going to be a better experience because it's a completely different setting, and I get to learn first where I want to go because I didn't know, like, I mean, I know I want to go to computer science, but I don't know, like, which universities are good for me. So I guess, like, that's the reason why I went to community college in the first place.
So Patricia, we want to hear like from the very beginning. So let's think of this session as kind of like the timeline until what you're doing right now in, working in the US. My first question is, when do you know that you want to study in the US? Was it like when you're still in junior high, or is it like in high school?
Basically junior high, I was like thinking about it a lot. Like I know I want to go to school outside of Indonesia, but I'm still struggling to pick like between Australia and the US.
Wow.
And then like I guess like the community college aspect kind of like drew me to US drew me to the US more. And I guess like I have a few relatives in the United States, so that makes it easier for me.
But isn't it like in Australia you can finish the whole thing like in 3 years?
Yeah, but I mean, like, I wanted, like, something more, like, I don't know, I feel like in the US, there's, like, more opportunities to, like, top universities, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I was also thinking about that. And also, like, I guess, like, the curriculum is more, like, reaching out towards, like, other disciplines. And that's why I like about some US education is, like, they offer courses that if you're in a computer science major, you can also take, like, humanities courses, or there's some schools that offer that, and I feel like that attracted me to the US more.
Mm-hmm. So, and how did you hear about community college?
Basically, I have an aunt in Seattle. She lives like a 10-minute drive to Green River. So I know about it then. So my parents are like really concerned that I'm going to go to school like somewhere abroad. So they were like, oh, you should go to like a community college in Seattle because your aunt's there. But we're still thinking about like which community college in Seattle, because as we all know, like there's a lot of community colleges in Seattle with like a lot of Indonesian population. So I chose Green River not just because of its proximity, but also because I guess it's like it's quieter than the rest. Like I know I want to go to the US and I don't want to like hang out with Indonesians a lot, and like a lot of the Indonesians are located in North Seattle. Yeah. So I mean, this Green River is in South Seattle, and there's like only one community college with a prominent Indonesian. So I have a sizable Indonesian community to lean on to, but also at the same time, it pushes me to talk to other people, like other than Indonesian people.
Oh, this is like really great. Like when you mentioned about you don't want to like be around like too many Indonesians. I actually do have that in one of my questions, but I'm gonna focus on that later on. But okay. Let me see. I have like
yeah. Thank you, Fina, for such an interesting opening questions, and Patricia as well. I find it very interesting on each advisees that we meet have a different perspective on their preference. Like I said in the introduction, like some of them prefer to have more bigger or larger Indonesian community, and some of them or most of them are like like you don't want to find too many crowds of people from the same country as you, because then it's kind of like getting out of your comfort zone, right, Patricia? So yeah, that's very interesting options. But I just want everyone to know that in selecting community college, Patricia, do you have like any specific things that you're looking for aside from maybe the community? Like maybe you look at, because I already know I want to study computer science. If I go to community college A or B, they will have certain courses for me to prepare my application to transfer later on to the university. Or what did you consider aside from the how do I call it, the Indonesian community in the community college?
I feel like also like when I was choosing community colleges, like I didn't really focus on the programs because honestly I didn't know what I was doing back then. Okay. I just applied, and I also looked at also the international student population. Green River has one of the biggest international students populations for any institution in the US, which is really impressive. And for me, like I want to engage in like a multicultural community, and I feel like Green River will offer that for me. So that's also like one of the big factors for me choosing Green River.
Right. Okay, that's very interesting. And for everyone else who is still kind of like, what is community college, and like why does it matter like which community college you choose? So basically, community college is a 2 years institutions instead of like university, which is 4 years. 2 years institution means you will if you finish community college for 2 years and you graduate from community college, it means you will get an AA degree, which is equivalent to D3 in Indonesia. And then after you got the AA degree, you will, if you want to get a bachelor degree, of course, you need to continue your study, which is transfer to the 4 years university. And you will start on the 3rd year and then the 4th year. You will start on the 3rd year and continue to the 4th year and graduate from the university, and you will get the bachelor degree. So you got AA and bachelor degree. And 2 years in community college is actually a general education. If you go to 4 years university, they will also offer you general education in the first 2 years. So that's why the system is made that you can transfer after you finish the 2nd year, if that makes sense to you, you know?
And yeah, thank you, Santika, to make that clear. And if I may add for whoever's watching this, because we also get this question a lot, especially from parents who are thinking that this community college is pretty similar with foundation. Like I think it's like in European countries, I think they do foundation system, but not in the US. So this community college system is basically like you enter college, like first year college, similar to as if you are starting at a 4-year college. So it's not foundation, it's not like some kind of preparation or anything like that. So yeah, thank you, Santika, for making that clear.
Yeah. So we have a few interesting questions in the Zoom chat box already, but I'm still waiting for more questions. And thank you, Patricia, for replying in the chat box while you are talking to us.
Don't worry.
Yeah, you're really good in, multitasking. And Fina and I are still, juggling with that.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Fina, go ahead. You want to ask the question?
Yeah, Patricia. So in the beginning, you mentioned that you know that you want to study computer science, but you don't know which university, right? So now my question is, what if the students actually don't know anything? They don't know what they want to major in. Is it still possible to actually study in the US?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when I went there, like there's a lot of undecided majors. I know a friend who changed his major like 4 times in community college. I mean, he took longer to graduate, but you can do that in community college. Like there's more room for that. And also, there's an interesting program in some community colleges where you can get in as a high school student. So you will only need like a quarter or semester to finish your high school credits, and then you can jump straight into college courses. And basically, you'll get your college diploma there. I guess like that's also a good program for undecideds, or if you want to accelerate your college journey, or also like if you don't know what to do, I feel like that's also a good program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that, and I completely agree with you. And again, like community college is basically what you're going to learn for the first 2 years are basically the same as if you're going to start at a 4-year university. There are some factors when people considered community college, starting at a community college over universities, which I will ask Patricia, what are some of the factors that you or maybe also your parents to actually choose community college over just go straight to 4-year university?
So there's a lot of factors. I guess like the main one is kind of like quote unquote safety sorta, since like I live with my aunt basically, and like I don't really pay rent. So it's like enormous cut in the budget, and also like easy transport. So I guess like it's like a first introduction to the United States. And also kind of like funding. I feel like if I didn't go to community college, I wouldn't be able to fund my studies at Columbia, because it's so expensive there. And community college, basically, you save a lot. You save a lot of money, definitely. I mean, I know for some people, like they might not be able to afford that. Also, community college has a lot of scholarships. Like I was in 2 scholarships when I was in community college, so it kind of like helped ease the financial burden that comes when you go to a 4-year.
Do you mind breaking down the tuition? We just want to be very transparent here.
So So community college. So if you're a U.S. citizen, basically you're free. You're like it's free for you to go. But if you're not, if you're an international student, you have to pay like 10,000 maybe a semester, a year. I guess it depends. It depends on the classes you take. It could range about like 10,000 to 15,000 a year, or maybe like down to 8,000. Yeah, just depends. They count the tuition by credit, so it depends on how much classes you take. But if you go to Columbia, now that's a different story. It's like 75,000 a year, so it's like a lot of money, and usually it's you have to kind of like a lot of money, but sometimes they do like financial aid as well. Sometimes it's like hard to get scholarships as an international student. So yeah, it's like it's a very different price point.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
if I may add here, one of the many reasons, or a few reasons people choose to go to community college first is that the difference in the tuition fee itself. So a lot of the strategy for parents and students themselves are like, okay, let's go to community college first for the first 2 years, save up, the tuition fee on let's say the difference that you can save if you go to university, 4 years university directly versus if you go to community college first. Let's save up that difference for the first 2 years. And then you can, use that fund that you saved to go to, like private universities, which cost more later in the third and the fourth year, and graduate from the university. And that's kind of like the strategy for you to make your U.S. education cost less, and of course you still get the bachelor degree. On top of that, you get AA degree as well. So it's not like if you go to community college and you didn't continue to, let's say, the university, you get nothing, but you still get the AA degree. But for bachelor, yes, you need to transfer, right, Patricia?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, just to make it clear, because Patricia mentioned credits. Just for some of you who are wondering what credits means, in Indonesia we call it SKS.
Yes.
Kalau kalau kuliah di sini ya.
Yes.
So yeah, credits are pretty much
Yes.
SKS.
And yeah, sorry, Fina. Just to add a bit, the tuition fee is like Patricia said, it's calculated based on the credit. So some classes are 5 credits, some classes are 3 credits, and some of them are actually more than 5 credits. So you will multiply that to the credit, and there are other costs depending on the classes. So yeah, for cost and tuition fee, I really encourage all of you to go to the website, to the official website directly for the more detailed breakdown. And of course, look at the international students' tuition fee, not the other one. Okay? Okay.
Okay. So I have another question.
Okay. Yes, please.
So Patricia, that, okay, so I'm going to go to Green River, right? When did you actually start preparing, and what to prepare? What grade did you start preparing?
Are you talking in terms of classes or in terms of like applying?
Like applying.
Oh, okay. So I will tell you about my process, since like I guess like I start from the beginning, because I guess like I feel like one thing that's wonderful about Green River as well, that it since it has like a large international student population, it has a really good international student advising team. So we started out like choosing colleges, I would schedule like my advisor meeting like the first time I got there, and like usually like it's the first, like I was like really clueless, like my first advising session, like I didn't know where to go, and like I just asked my advisor like, oh, what's the best schools for computer science? And my advisor was like, I don't really know, because like we haven't really like bonded over like a connection, and like she doesn't know like what I'm interested in, like I don't know. So it's like so the first meeting, but yeah, basically like I started from the first meeting, and then like basically the first year I discussed about like the potential schools and what kind of schools am I looking for, and like what are where my interests lie. And then maybe like the second semester of the first year, I started like finalizing that list of schools, and then during the summer I start with like SAT prep, like I took the ACT, so ACT prep, and also essay prep as well. And then on the first semester of the second year, I did all my essays and did all the applications. And then on the second semester of the second year, basically the first half, I finished all my applications, submitted it, and I got my results basically that month of April and May.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have a question from Mirza, basically asking, kalau ke community college, nanyanya apa tadi Santika? Nanya
financial aid and scholarship. So actually the financial aid and scholarship, the idea is the same. It's actually, you get some funding for your study or your tuition fee, but the difference is the category. So financial aid is usually targeted for U.S. citizens, correct me if I'm wrong, and scholarships is usually more open for all students, regardless if you're international or local student or in-state students or out of state. They have those kind of categories. So some scholarships are really, really specific for like in-state transfer student or out-of-state transfer student. And mind you, transfer student is not the same as if you apply as freshman. So yeah, scholarships have very distinctive requirements or category or criteria for you to fulfill in order if you want to be considered to get that funding. For financial aid, usually is, you have to submit kind of like, tax and everything, tax records and everything. So that means most of the time you have to be a U.S. citizen or similar to that to be able to provide those accurately. Okay? Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you so much for helping out Patricia in the chat room. And I want you to know that for undergraduate, unfortunately, Vinaya, scholarships, like full funded scholarships is not as common as for graduate programs in the United States. So partial scholarships are, more plenty and easier to find compared to if you are trying to go to the States for undergrad, for bachelor, and you are, seeking a fully funding scholarship for that. It's going to be really tough to find one, just because you actually can combine some partial scholarships if they are not like, if they don't have the regulations that you cannot combine this with other scholarship, you can combine some scholarships together and see how much more you need to cover for you to be able to attend the school or the program itself. But for full funding like LPDP or Fulbright for undergraduate, I think it's still not available. Not sure about this year about the update of LPDP. It's still very new, so yeah, we're still looking at it. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just add a little bit about like this scholarship scheme fund topic, because of course, a lot of people come to us and then usually the first few questions that they ask would be, how can I get scholarship? And then usually what Santika and I like to ask our advisees would be, are you only looking for full funded scholarship? Meaning that if you can't get fully funded scholarship, you won't be able to continue your study in the US, or is partial possible, right? Because like what Santika mentioned, unfortunately, when it comes to full funded scholarship, we're thinking about scholarship coming from the government. So like what Santika mentioned, just in case you don't know what LPDP or Fulbright is, basically Fulbright is a scholarship coming from the US government. And then we also have LPDP that is coming from Indonesian government. Unfortunately, they only offer for master's and or PhD. With LPDP, there are some updates this year where they actually open for undergrad. If you want to look more and learn more about it, definitely go to their website. I think Santika can help us in the chat here in Zoom to for LPDP website. But what I read last time, they are looking for high school students who are basically active or have won some kind of competition and all that. And then they're willing to fund you to study abroad. Cool. And so, there are some people who basically answer the question, oh yeah, no, partial is okay, then we can kind of like move on, because again, like what Santika mentioned, partial scholarships coming from the universities are very, very common. But then again, fully funded scholarship, is it, like, do universities offer fully funded scholarship? Yeah. They're not all probably, but there are universities in the US where they do at least give out like 1 or 2 fully funded scholarship. But then it's really, really tough to get one, because technically you need to compete with everyone, not just international students, but also for the locals. So it's not like it's possible if you want to give it a try, but like the chance will be like really, really slim. I want to kind of like, before I forget, I want to kind of like coming back to the SAT topic that Patricia mentioned earlier. So Patricia, so you prepared for an ACT. So there's SAT and ACT. They're basically similar, but just different. I don't know, Patricia, if you want to, kind of like discuss a little bit about, the difference between SAT and ACT or an ACT. But we actually have Mirza asked earlier, do we need to take an SAT or write an essay to continue to 4-year university program from community college? And so we get that question a lot too. And in fact, Santika basically answered that most likely the universities won't ask for that. But I want to hear from you, because so does that mean that when you transferred to 4-year universities, you took this test?
Yeah. So I took the ACT. So the difference between the SAT and the ACT. So the ACT has a science, math, writing, and English section, while the SAT only has an English, math, and writing section. And I took the ACT because there's a science section, and like usually like I was in IPA in high school, and for me it's really easy. Like the science is really easy. It's basically junior high level science in Indonesia. It's really easy. So I just took that, and I would say that the SAT English or reading section is harder than the ACT.
Yeah.
So it has like texts from like the 1800s, which is like, I mean, I can read it, but like it's really intimidating to do in a test. So ACT usually it's a little bit easier. So that's why I choose the ACT. And yeah, so back in my days, like I had to like take the ACT for, I would say, almost every school. Like there are some schools that don't require it. Like I know like my community college has partnerships with some universities like ASU or University of Oregon. They have like partnerships to transfer partnerships. So you only like submit your grades and basically they tell you if you're in or not. But like for selective universities, they definitely need you to take either the SAT or the ACT. And if you want, you can take the SAT subject tests to like improve your chances. That's what I did. So SAT subject tests are like a separate one. There's like tests in different subjects like physics, chemistry, basically like Spanish. Like there's more like specific one. I took physics, math too, and literature, and I submitted all of that because I got great scores in all of that. Cool. So that could also improve your chances. But I think this year, like because of COVID, like there are some universities that waive that SAT or ACT requirement. I think some schools do that, but I think highly selective schools still require that.
Yeah, I want to get to the list of universities that you transferred to later on, because the other day I actually got connected with Patricia and I learned the universities that Patricia actually applied to when Patricia wanted to transfer to universities are interesting because it covers basically all type of universities in the US, not only Ivy Leagues, not only like private schools, but public, and then even liberal arts. And we want to kind of like hear more about like, what are liberal arts colleges? Wow. But let's save that first. But I want to know first, because I think this is like really, really important as well for anyone who's watching this or who will watch this later on. How did you first adapt? So you're international students, you're from Indonesia, right? Have you been to the US before, by the way, or that was your first time?
Only once for like a vacation.
Okay. But so, like when you graduated high school and then you flew to the US knowing that you're going to be in the US for like the next 4 or 5 years, how did you first adapt? Like, is there any culture shock? Did you, what?
Oh, for sure. Like a lot of them. I feel like, so back in high school, I consider myself like really good in English. Like I got like the best grades out of like everyone in English. And I was like really confident that my English is going to work in the US. Like I was thinking like, there's no way like I'm going to fail in English in the US. But turns out like I was having trouble communicating with people. And I guess like it's not about the English, but about like the cultural sort of, because like people in the US will ask like, so if you go like to get a coffee in the US and then the waiter will ask, hi, how are you? And like that question, how are you, is like really, really stumped me in the beginning. Cause like I thought I'm supposed to say like how I'm really doing, but it's just a regular phrase for Americans. It's just like, oh, how are you? I'm good. Even though you're not really good inside, you just say I'm good. Cause it's just like such a common turn of phrase. And also like a lot of like, mostly like cultural stuff, like, opening the door for people. That's like very common in the US. And also like, basically there's like a lot of small talk pleasantries that I have to like pick up in the US. I feel like that's like the thing I struggle the most. I feel like I don't really, the reason why I didn't really struggle that much is because like there's a lot of other international students in the US who in like my community college that like is facing the same thing as I did. So it's more bearable. I guess like there's also like a cultural shock when I come to Colombia. But should we save that for another question or should I answer it here?
Sure, yeah. Why not?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sure. So when I go to Colombia, like it's a completely different culture shock when I go to Colombia. The number one culture shock is that everyone can read. I mean, like everyone grows up with the culture of reading. There's a lot of people who go there who like went from a really good high school in the US where it's like Dead Poets Society sort of like you all like learn all like the great literature works and everything. And they're really accustomed to read and also like to ask questions critically. And in Colombia, we start off with like seminar classes, which is like classes usually like only 10, 15 people where you are encouraged to speak up and discuss among your classmates in the class. And there's not a lot of seminar classes in community college. So it was very awkward when I first come into Colombia because everyone was like raising their hands and like really participating very actively. And I wasn't really having like the confidence to do it. And also on the other hand, imposter syndrome, I kind of feel like, why is everyone around me so smart? Maybe like the admissions people made a mistake, like maybe I'm not supposed to be here. But yeah, then I learned that that's also like what everyone thinks about. And that is a very common feeling to have if you're basically like underprivileged in an institution that is very like highly regarded. If you come from community college, if you come from international student background, if you're not from like the 1%, if you're not like filthy rich, I feel like that's also a common feeling that everyone has in schools.
And how did you encounter that? You just kind of you shrug it up, or did you like really like hard? This is hard.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. So I feel like I encountered that because so the first time I got to Colombia and the first time I was in orientation, like my orientation group, like in their introductory email, they were like, oh, hi, I'm a transfer from UC Berkeley. Hi, I'm a transfer from Cornell. And I did like molecular cellular research last summer and I never did any of that. And I was like so shocked because like, wow, like the schools these people are transferring to were my dream schools in community college. And so I kind of like, the way I kind of like mitigate that is like finding out that I'm not really friends with them. Like, I feel like I found my friends more in the people that I find things in common with. Like, I was really engaged in like the international student community also in Colombia. Yeah. And also like one of my senior year roommate, she's American, but she's also a transfer from a community college in California. She also comes from a low income background, so I relate more to her. So I feel like I overcome that by finding out people who have things in common with me and like finding out that we all share that we all share that feeling, and that even though like Columbia as an institution has flaws, and people who come in might not necessarily be people from our background, but basically we're all like facing this together.
Did you feel like you, for whatever reason, when you went to, well, basically it's Manhattan, right? In Columbia, it's completely different like environment from like Auburn in Seattle, in Washington, which where community Green River located is. Do you feel like that you experienced a second culture shock in a way?
I feel like that is like in reverse, like because I'm a city girl. I really like cities. Like back when I was in Jakarta, like I didn't really live in Jakarta. Like I live in BSD, so it's like so it's like a 30-45 minute like to even get to only like Bintaro or South Jakarta. So it's like, yeah, I go to the city a lot. I go to Jakarta a lot back when I was in Indonesia, and back in Seattle, like I didn't have a car. I took like 1 hour buses to Seattle just to like explore the city. I'm like, basically that transition like is easier for me to go to New York. And the first time I went to United States was New York. So I already like I know what I'm gonna expect. And I like in the beginning I got kind of disappointed because it's not all like bright lights and everything. Like, oh, there's like rats, there's like cash on the street, etc. But like like after that, like I grow to love New York. And like if you ask every person who has lived in New York, they have their own reason to love New York. And for me, it's a diversity. Like I can meet like everyone in the world there. Like I'm friends with people I thought I am never friends with. I'm friends with an Orthodox Jewish person. I'm friends with a person from Mauritius. Like, and back then I didn't know even where Mauritius was. So it's like you get like a very diverse like kind of like engagement with like different cultures, and that's what I like about New York.
I don't know, Santika, you agree with me? Like, I think this is like really perfect that we actually get to invite Patricia to this event.
Yeah.
Particularly, this is the one topic that I want to kind of like talk about, like now, because you keep mentioning about you hang out with international students, you hang out with, like the Americans. Not once I hear that you hang out with Indonesians, which comes to my next question, right? Because, like, the way I look at it, when you get to the US, right? Let's say it's for the first time, it was like new environment, and then you feel welcomed being in a community college or what have you that has a good number of Indonesians, right? And of course, people tend to feel like they're at home. So what I saw, because this is something that Santika and I probably have not shared from the beginning, but Santika and I, we actually also graduated from community college. So we can also talk from experience. But, what I saw back then is that, and I actually felt that as well. I felt so much like at home, so that at least for the first year, which I kind of like regretted, I only hang out with them. I only hang out with Indonesians. So I want to hear from you, Patricia. What are some of the tips? Because I'm pretty sure it's still kind of like an ongoing, I don't want to say like it's an issue, but it's an ongoing thing where people, they got to the US and then they went to community college and then, or even universities, and then they just hang out with Indonesians and nobody else. What do you think of that? And how do we encounter that? Like, because on my second year onward until I finished my college, I didn't hang out with Indonesian at all, and then that's when I really truly experienced, like living in the US. So that when I go back to Indonesia, like I really, there are so many stories and there are so many, like aspects that I can actually merge into myself. So what do you think of that, Patricia, when, if someone thinks, I don't care, I just want to hang out with Indonesians, because it's really hard to hang out with international students or even Americans. And for those who wants to kind of change the habit of only hanging out with Indonesian, what are some of the tips if you have?
I feel like my story is the reverse. So like when I first got to community college, I thought to myself, oh, I don't want to be friends with Indonesians, because that's like not the purpose of me coming to the US. Like I want to hang out with like other. But then, like, like, as I started hanging out with, like, Americans, like, I found people who, like, I don't know, like, they don't really share the same opinions as I did about, like, immigration, etc. And, like, some like so, and then I felt too much culture shock with the Americans, so I just reverted back um to talking to Indonesians. And after that, I talked because like I was participating in clubs, so I talked more to like international students. I feel like if you talk or become friends with other international students who are not Indonesian, that's definitely easier because you share the same perspective, you share like the same stories. And for me, like I got into it because like I was participating in a lot of clubs that involve international students. So a lot of back in community college, I was involved in what's called Sustained Dialogue. It's a conversation group for like international students to talk about like culture shock, like cultural differences. And I continued that in Colombia. There's like a similar club called Global Ambassador Program. So I also went there, and like basically everyone in that club were international students. So I kind of like learned to like talk to them. So yeah, like going to club meetings or like joining an organization, that's like definitely a great way to like socialize with other people with than Indonesians. I feel like in Colombia it's a different story because there's not as much Indonesian students. Like there's like mainly two types of Indonesian students. There are like the graduate students who are like around the age of 30, so I don't really connect to them on a daily basis because sometimes like their topic of discussion is like too old, or like we just don't connect. Or the undergrads who like go there, like the undergrads who don't go there like in their first year, usually these people are usually these students, like they come from like international schools, and sometimes like I don't really relate to them because of like class, like social status, and also because like of language barriers as well, because like sometimes they mostly like speak English, so I don't really relate to them. But I finally found like a friend group, an Indonesian friend group at Columbia that fits me, which are mostly like grad students who are still relatively young, so I still can connect to them, or Indonesian students who are like maybe who share more background with me, like I connect with them the most. But I guess in Colombia, because there's like so little Indonesian friends that I can hang out with, that kind of pushes me. Like if I don't like hang out with like non-Indonesians, like I won't survive at Colombia because there's just like very little Indonesian students there.
Yeah, I if I can add to that, I feel like from the beginning until the end, I don't really think about how to select my environment or like who I befriend with. And from the beginning, when I was in the community college, I already, because the classroom is already a mix, right? We cannot choose. I just want to go to class with international students, and I just want to go to class with the local students. It's all mixed. So, and when there's the teamwork and everything, you just cannot choose. It's not like back in your high school in Indonesia that you can, okay, I want to choose my friends to be in my group. So a lot of things that are not your choice, and you just need to be ready to be thrown at you. Like, okay, you are in the same group as some local students who speak native English, and some other international students who speak different languages from you, and you just make the best out of it. And I think I understand what you mean here, Patricia, when the Indonesian community gets smaller. It feels like because when you have a lot of other Indonesians in the same place, you feel like, okay, I don't want to join that crowd anymore, because it feels that I'm not in America, right? But when the crowd gets smaller, you feel like, okay, I need something to ground me that I'm an international student from Indonesia. Somehow you will feel the need to maybe connect with your native tongue or something. That's how I feel it. I do keep my, how do I say this? I don't limit the thinking that, oh, okay, I don't want to hang out with certain people or anything like that. When I was in the States, I was just like, okay, whoever wants to be friends, then let's go. And I think it just worked out that way, because then, as you said, when we go to, when we transfer to university, the 4-year university, on the third year, on the fourth year, on our last year as a bachelor program, it's you don't really have that big of international students specifically Indonesians anymore. I went to this small private university where most of the people, because it's a non-profit university, a lot of veterans went there, and most of them are already, a lot older than me. Like what you said, Patricia, like you try to connect with those who are much older than you and everything like that. And yeah, it's just a different topic already, and you just learn some things from them, but it's just like, okay, you can talk to them, but it's not on like a very close relationship and everything like that. So I think it's best to make the best out of it, regardless if you choose to communicate with more with Indonesians or to the locals. I would go for giving the tips of just mix them up, like whatever you feel comfortable in doing. And of course, don't like, okay, I only want to be friend with Indonesian. Okay, I only want to be friend with Americans, because then it's going to limit yourself to get the fullest experience as an international student. I think we have the benefit, right, Fina, Patricia, as an international student, you feel like you can just try a lot of new things there, because you will not stay there for like forever. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I'm loving this session because we pretty much cover basically the whole thing, and including, culture shock and just basically just the culture, living in the US and then all that. Now let's kind of like move to more a technical aspect of all this community college to transferring to universities. My next question to you, Patricia, because I saw how you're also very kind of you to, help answer some of the questions that people have here in Zoom chat feature. You mentioned about you applied to 12 schools. And so we would love to hear that. If you still remember, what are the schools? And then why? Okay, let's start with why is it? Did you think like it's necessary to apply to 12 schools? And why did you apply to 12 schools?
I applied to 12 schools mostly because I'm anxious that I'm not going to get into any schools. But yeah, I just like applied to 12 schools. I divided it based on like dream school, like dream school, and then like reachable schools, and then safety schools.
Yes.
So my safety schools are usually the ones that have like partnership with my community college. So I applied to University of Oregon and I got instantly accepted. So like this was like really early in the this was really early in the college application process. So I got that safe at least. And then I applied to like a lot of other schools, mostly because I have a lot of things that I'm interested in. So I applied to the UC schools because like if you apply to the University of California system, it's really easy and you can do like one application for multiple schools. So I applied to 5 schools there: UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Santa Barbara, and UC Irvine. And I was accepted to UC San Diego and UC Santa Barbara, waitlisted at UC Berkeley and UC Irvine, and rejected at UCLA. But that was really easy because I only need to like submit one application. And I was, from all of those schools, I'm most interested in UC San Diego because they have both a strong computer science program and arts program. So I wanted to like have a taste of those. Like if I were to be accepted at Columbia, I would probably go to UC San Diego.
Right.
And then I also applied to 2 liberal arts colleges, which is Reed College and Smith College. Reed College is in Portland, Oregon, and Smith College is in Massachusetts. I applied to them because one, like they have 0 admission fee. So, and their application is pretty easy and pretty creative. So I just went. Actually, like I applied because like, maybe if I consider like applying there, maybe like it's going to be like a different experience for me. I mean, like, I don't know if I really want to go there or don't want to go there, but I just applied because like, I think it's going to be like a different experience. And I want to like find out about both schools as well. And then I applied to like my dream schools, which is Stanford, Brown, Barnard, and Columbia. Barnard is basically like Columbia's like sister college. It's like a women's college, and basically like you will take the similar classes as Columbia, but like with a different core curriculum. I got accepted to Barnard and Columbia, got waitlisted at Brown, and got rejected at Stanford. I wanted Stanford because back then they have an English plus CS program, and I really want to get into that program. I think that program has already closed, so like you can't apply to it anymore. But it's but that program is really unique because I like both the humanities and computer science, and I really want to do that in college. I applied to Brown because they have an open curriculum because like at Brown you can basically mix and match all the classes and maybe create your own major. So it's like if you're interested in a lot of things, like Brown is a really good school to go to. But then like I was thinking like it's in like Providence, Rhode Island. It's basically a small town. Yeah. Like I want more of a city experience. So it's like really so it's really, I don't know, like I'm torn between that or Columbia. Columbia and Barnard, like I eventually chose Columbia because like it's because Columbia is like the more like name recognized out of all of them. And so yeah, I got accepted to Columbia and Barnard. I applied to Barnard because if I didn't get into Columbia, at least I'll get into Barnard. But I got into both of them. So
yeah. So
Patricia. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Pina. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll go later.
Patricia, did you say that you also choose Columbia because they have an art program?
Oh, no. So I chose Columbia mostly because Columbia's core curriculum is very humanities heavy. And I want to come into a school, to university where like there's like a big emphasis in the humanities other than like social science. Other than like science, because I want to study them both. So Columbia's core curriculum is basically like you take a bunch of classes, most of them like related to humanities. It's like 1 year of literature, 1 year of philosophy, half year art, half year music, and then 2 global diversity classes and like a lot of other stuff. So yeah, I'm really attracted to that core curriculum because besides of studying computer science, I can also study a lot of things in the humanities.
Yeah, thank you so much for making that point, because I was thinking that's why you're applying to liberal arts college, because liberal arts college are pretty much, do you want to talk a little bit about liberal arts college? What are those for some of us who are kind of like, what is that?
Sure. So liberal college are usually like smaller colleges, usually like in rural areas. What attracted me to that is like they have like a really interesting core curriculum, which is similar to Columbia. Like you have like a really big humanities core, and then you can like build on top of that. So maybe if you study computer science at a liberal arts college, you won't study things as technical as you would like in a normal university. You would like maybe like study about like, if you study computer science there, you'll learn about like the history of computer science. You'll learn about like, oh, what's the implications of computer science for ethics, etc. So I'm also looking for that, and also like the community is like much more smaller and tight knit, and yeah, it's like it has even if you take a science major there, it has like a really big emphasis on the humanities, which I really like.
And this is what Santika and I, or everyone who know about the education system, love about the U.S. education system, because I just feel like you couldn't find it everywhere else outside the U.S. where you can actually combine your primary interest. So let's say Patricia is just interested in computer science, but at the same time also learn about something else. And in this case, Patricia is actually into like some kind of like in humanities type of program. So I think it's really, really amazing compared to like other countries outside the U.S. because the way I look at it, it's very definite. Like you have to know for sure what you want to study before you even apply, right? And then in order for you to actually change major is very hard, or if not impossible. Whereas Patricia mentioned in the beginning of the event, where you had a friend who basically changed major 4 times, right? And it is possible, at least for the first 2 years, because of that general education system, right? So for the first 2 years, again, it's not foundation or anything like that. This is definitely you are entering first year college. It's just that for the first 2 years, this is for bachelor's degree, by the way, not master's degree or PhD, only for bachelor's degree, where you are allowed to actually explore as many programs as possible. So and what is interesting about Patricia's stories in the beginning is that Patricia knew that you want to study computer science, but just don't know which universities. That's why enters community college, right? For me personally, and I don't know about you, something maybe you can also share. For me, it's more like I kind of like know that I want to study business, but then I started to realize that there are actually so many, kind of like sub majors,
of
branches,
business.
of business. And I'm like, what? I don't know. I just know business. No, you cannot pick business. You got to pick like what? Accounting, international business, and what have you, right? So then I was like, I don't know. And that's when I, pick community college as my option. And then, I figure it out. How about you, Santika?
So yeah, I don't mean to copy you, but that's the same reason as I have. I know I want to do business with my education and with, after I graduate and whatever. But I didn't know which one that I want to fit in because, as we know, business have so many branches, so many focuses that if you don't kind of, experiment or try to maybe learn the basic first, you won't know if that's for you or not. So in this case, it's so different with Patricia, where you already know you want computer science. So Patricia, both Vina and I, look where we end up, right? We tried to study business and we end up in education, and we love education in Education USA as well, because the fact that it's a bit like the opposite of business, but somehow it's just fitting us well. So I think U.S. education is very unique in the sense that they give you time and opportunity to explore what you don't know that you will enjoy. So that's why in Patricia's story's case, that her friend or her friend can change major up to 4 times when he or she just discovered something new and think like, okay, maybe this is for me. I just want to focus on this, and maybe discovered something else, and I'm like, okay, let's try this one instead. But yeah, my point here is it's just that flexible and that I want to say student centric, if that makes sense to you. Like, it's your choice to choose which direction you want to go. But here, because Patricia mentioned all of the 12 schools that she applied to and which one that she got accepted to, and I only count 9 names out of 12, so I missed 3. Berkeley, Irvine, Barbara, San Diego, those are the UCs, and the liberal arts are Reed College and Smith's College, Dream School, Stanford, Columbia, and Brown. And I don't know which one I missed, maybe the UCs. But I want to just ask you, Patricia, just in case, our audience here maybe are planning to apply for the undergrad. I want to ask you if you use the UC application, because it's like the common app, but that's just specifically just for UCs. And it's the same if you want to apply for the transfer, you still use the UCs, right? The UC application. It's the same. Okay. What about other schools? Do you still use Common App, or you just go directly to the university's website or portal individually?
So
for the transfer.
The 3 universities I missed are like the 3 safety universities that I applied to, but like ended up like not accepting. Those are like Seattle University, Gonzaga, and University of Washington. Okay. But also in terms of like applying, mostly I use Common App. Like that's like the primary platform that I use. The University of Oregon one, or like the safety school ones, are like they have their own platforms, but it's pretty much it's pretty much you just submit your grade there and
Okay.
they'll just accept you or not based on your grades because they have like an agreement with the community college anyway. So
Cool.
yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel at that time? Because you were a community college student, which is a bit different if we are talking about when you were in high school. I like to say that being in community college in the United States is, maybe tougher compared to if you are a high schooler in Indonesia. Just because you have a lot more to juggle and you are being more independent, right? You just live on your own there. You have to take care of other things other than just your study. How do you feel applying to 12 schools at that moment? Because it's going to be overwhelming, right? How
Yeah.
did you juggle
I
that?
feel
Do you
like-
have any tips?
I feel like planning is key.
Okay.
Because I know like a lot of friends who like procrastinate until the last minute to write their essays.
Mhm.
For me, like I planned like a year, maybe a year and a half in advance. Like I started thinking about like in the summer, in like the summer between like my first and second year, I was like redoing my TOEFL since my TOEFL has already expired at that time. Redoing my SATs and like maybe taking like SAT classes during the summer and maybe like preparing my essays so that when when that fall semester comes, I have all these essays, or maybe like mid fall, like I have like some essays to prepare, and I'll just like send them to my advisor to check. And maybe like what we did with like all the Indonesians to community college, we have a group, like we have like kind of like a group where we rotate them, like we review each other's essays. So we do that. I feel like for the University of California application, since it's due the earliest, it's due on like November. So it gave me like a wake up call to start preparing for other schools as well. And that kind of like made me think about like preparing for other schools in advance.
Okay. Thank you so much, Patricia. And that I want to highlight to everyone who is watching this or will watch this, that your preparation, your best preparation and your best application is what matters. And in here, Patricia gave us such a good example from her success stories that you need to be very well prepared, which is like a year before you apply for your transfer. So that's the cons of going to community college. I'd like to say that you are not in your final, how do I say this? You shouldn't be relaxing when you get into community college. You shouldn't be relaxing like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here for until I'm, graduate my bachelor degree. No, because you have to prepare for your best transfer application. And Patricia started 1 year earlier, which means 1 year after she is in the community college, she started preparing for the transfer next year. And you use summer. Do you remember if you are taking any classes during that summer when you're also preparing for your transfer?
I took only like one class.
Okay.
But it's like a brief.
That's a really, really good strategy, I would say, because summer, if all of you, want to know, summer is where the classes are shorter. And so you can choose to just take a few classes instead of like the usual, maybe you need to have at least 3 classes. You can just pick one, you can just have one courses. So like Patricia did, you can take one course and then focus on other things like maybe preparing your transfer application. Learning the TOEFL again, or preparing the ACT or SAT and things like that. Okay. And the essay is really good because you actually found, I don't know if you make that group or you found it, but either way, it's really, really going to help anyone who are, making their essay, because that's what Fina and I have been, promoting, that you guys have to start your essay really, really early, because it's not something that you can just make overnight and then submit it. It really takes time for that. And last question regarding your transfer is, how do you know those courses that you take in community college will be transferable to the universities that you are applying to? Is it that you consulted first with your advisor in community college? Because all international students will be assigned to advisor or counselor in the community college, especially for international students. So do you consult to them first, or you just go directly to each of the university that you want to apply and check whether or not those courses will be transferable? Because I think this is also crucial in the planning for your transfer, because you don't want to take any courses that is not going to be transferred, right, Patricia?
Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like a combination of both.
Okay.
Like, because in the beginning, like I didn't know what school I want to go to, and like in the very beginning when I first come into community college, like we have like not a one-on-one advising session, but like a group advising session where like the advisors just like say like, oh, if you want to major in like computer science, for example, like you have to take these classes. Like these classes are usually the one generally accepted in any university. And then once I get to more specific ones, once I know my college list, I book a one-on-one like appointment with my advisor, and I talked about like, oh, like these are my college lists, like what should I look for? And then like she gave me pointers to look in like the university website and the programs and what classes do they need. But then like some schools also, one thing that's like really important is some schools have a credit cap on how much you transfer. So Columbia, you only can transfer like 60 credits. So there are some classes that are not transferable to Columbia because like there's not enough credits there. There's also like really weird rules. Like I remember Columbia doesn't really accept transferring online classes, doesn't really accept like transferring summer classes. So yeah, it's good to like watch out those rules, because like I didn't realize that when I was in the process of transferring. But yeah, usually like I'm helped by my advisor. Like I got a lot of support at Green River to like find out like which classes should I take that fits to the universities. And sometimes it's hard because like you're applying to like multiple universities and they all have different requirements. So it's kind of, so usually like my reference is like I choose like which universities I really want to go to and like base my classes based on those universities. Like I predict like which universities, if I get accepted into, I will definitely go there. And then I'll just like trace my classes based on those universities.
Cool. Okay.
Wow. So nice. I actually have one question in mind. Can you share a little bit about the differences in the classroom experience between community college and when you're in Columbia? It must be kind of, like really different in terms of like the size and, like the faculty student ratio, and yeah, what can you share?
Yeah, for sure. So community college has like a small class size, usually like 25 people in like lecture classes. Classes that are like considered big for university. For example, intro to computer science back in community college was only 25 people. Like if I were to take the same class in university, it would be 200 people. So it's a more kind of like intimate class setting, but it's a more intimate class setting for like intro courses or like courses that are usually like big in like usually like 50 to 200 people. In university, it's only like 25 people, 25, 30 people in community college. So I like that very much. But one disadvantage for community college is they don't really have a lot of seminar classes, which what made me struggle in university, because I don't have the same skills to kind of like participate in seminar classes because there's not much of that. Like a lot of the classes in community college are only like a classroom setting where the instructor just like give information to the students. Like usually there's some collaboration happening, but not much. Where in seminar, it's like usually like the teacher just gives you like guide questions and you just like discuss like a certain text or a certain subject by the entire class. So yeah, there's more classes like that in four-year university.
Wow, that's really interesting. That's definitely something to consider when prospective students are thinking about studying in the US. I can also, because if like what Patricia mentioned, when you're taking basically the same freshman class in community college versus in universities, that for that one class probably just like 25 people in community college, but then in the university setting it can be like hundreds. So probably there's something to consider. Maybe you for not all of us can, what I'm trying to say is, for some people it can be overwhelmed,
yes.
right? When you actually just start up at a universities where they have like hundreds. So yeah, something to definitely consider.
Yep. And for, I think this lately, a lot of universities in United States actually kind of prefer that their students are transfer students because they went through community college, which means they are in, they already feel, the setting in community college, not like directly from high schools, which give them more time to adjust to the, to the environment, to the United States, to the school setting and everything. Even though community college are generally smaller, have smaller classes compared to universities, but they consider that as a valuable adjustment stage of that 2 years. And so this is to just another combating people who think if you go to community college, you cannot go to, famous universities or highly selective. The answer is no, even though I think there should be more students who are like Patricia and Matahari, if you remember, Fina. Yeah, there should be more. There should be more students like Patricia and Matahari who went to community college and go to highly selective universities as transfer student. But I think the chances of them thinking that I will not be accepted to those highly selective universities maybe make them did not apply for that transfer in the first place when they are in the community college. So my tips is just do your best, like Patricia and like what Matahari did. I remember Matahari also said she prepared like 1 year before or like just shortly after she arrived and started in the community college. She started writing her essays and everything, unlike her friends, her cohort, who maybe started very, very last minute. And of course, they end up in different places and everything like that. Not saying if you go to other universities, then compared to those highly selective universities, it's bad. No. But if your goal is those highly selective schools, then you need to work extra hard on that. That's just my point there. Okay?
Great point. Yeah, no, great point.
All right. So, Fina, we are going to move to a very interesting topic. I think this is going to be our last big chunk of topic, which is the OPT and working experience from Patricia, because you are currently working in JRI America, am I right? In New York. And so not everyone have the opportunity to work, such a great opportunity to work in the United States. And so we would love to hear your experience and maybe some things that you can share if any of the students in Indonesia right now have the same target as you, like they want to try to work in the United States after they get the bachelor degree, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my job application process was more brutal than my transfer application process, because I applied to maybe hundreds and I only got three interviews and I only got accepted to 2. So I would say it's more brutal, it's more taxing, it's more like exhausting to apply to jobs, because and I feel like also like I also that kind of like have that imposter syndrome kind of creeping, because I don't really have that much experience compared to my peers at Columbia. So I kind of feel that's like sort of like a disadvantage to me. But yeah, it was more brutal, but finally, thankfully I got a job. And I feel like that's also the same experience. That's also the same experience that my other peers, like my other Indonesian friends experience as well. Oh. Finding a job is like really hard in the US, especially I graduated in 2020. So it was during the pandemic. So it's like way harder. But yeah, I found a job. And also like one note, besides applying for jobs, you have to apply for OPT. So OPT is basically like if you get a US student visa, you get a free like 1 year work in the US visa. So it's basically like a practical training for your degree. So there's another application for that, and I was really stumped because I started out late for that application, and I had to do like a lot of things. I had to like go to the shop and like photocopy all my documents, and send them in a mail and pay. It's like really expensive to apply as well. And I was using my own money at that point, so it was like really expensive to apply. But yeah, and that authorization is kind of like stressful also, because you have to wait 3 months until you're going to be able to work, because you have to have like a authorization card sort of, and then you have to do it all over again for next year. Because if you major in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you get an extra 2 years of OPT. And I'm also and I'm a computer science major, so I'm eligible for that. So I'm currently in the application process for STEM OPT, which is basically the same. So I have to do it all over again.
So to give a bit of background to those who is confused about what is OPT. OPT is optional practical training. So like what Patricia said, so before you graduate from the university, before you get your bachelor degree, you have this option to apply for OPT, right, Patricia? And then you have to pay a certain amount of money for the OPT documentation and everything for the application itself. And then once you get the OPT, you can apply for work in the United States under your F1 student visa for 12 months. But if you are in the STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics like Patricia, you can get an additional of 2 years. But then you have to apply again the next year. So once in every year, right, Patricia?
No, so it's once after you graduate, and then another one after that 1 year. So if you're STEM OPT, you only
so just 2 times if you are going to extend it if you are in STEM, right? Okay, cool. So yeah, you have to do that because you are practically under the F1 student visa. So you are so now you already used up the first year and you are applying for the extension. Am I right, Patricia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So how do you feel about all this working experience thing? Have you have other working experience back on campus, maybe in the community college, or you started maybe working in Columbia University before that triggers you to work?
So in terms of computer science work, I was an internet project in like my junior to senior year summer. Like I was doing like a software engineering internship there. But and then like before this, I did like before like I started work, I did like a 3-month teaching program. I taught computer science to like middle schoolers in New York. So I had that experience, but back at Columbia and back in Green River, I also had work experience, even though it's not really related to computer science. So I was a tutor in the writing center for both Columbia and Green River. And I was also in a peer mentorship program in which I mentor new international students at Green River. And it's a job, it's not a club, so I also got paid for that. So I have pretty significant employment history as well.
Cool. So do you feel like your working experience is very significant to add your learning experience in United States? Not only because once you graduated, what you were thinking was like, okay, I know what I learned, but is it applicable when you're working? I mean, in your first year working in the field, is it applicable, or is it like a lot of new things that you learn, and how do you feel about getting this opportunity, or are you going to extend this until you've finished the next 2 years again, and what do you plan after that?
Yeah, so I can start with like my work experience. So I feel like since I'm working in the software engineering industry, and like things are very particular in the software engineering industry, and if you study computer science, you don't necessarily prepare yourself for a software engineering job, because there's a lot of concentrations in computer science back in back in Colombia, I took an AI route, so it's like very different than software engineering. But my engineering internship in Gojek was really helpful for me, so I can know like this kind of sort of the industry. So for example, if you're a software engineer, you follow like an agile method like of like project management, and you also follow maybe like a lot of other tools. You use other tools like GitHub, etc. You learn that in your internships, so it's easier for me to transition into my work now since I've had that internship experience. But also, not to discredit other jobs, I feel like they also help me in terms of like employer relations, and also like the different aspects it comes in terms of jobs. For example, like if you get like a salary, like how much are they taxing you, like in terms of like taxes. Also, I learned a lot about taxes in the US, like when I did my job in community college. And for the future, I think like I'm going to stay and keep doing this until like my 2 years. I feel like this has been like a great opportunity for me to kind of like train to do some training in my field. And I really like doing software engineering. It's a very fun field, and because you actually like get to see what you worked on and get to like you can see the product, you can like click on it, etc. So it's like really cool. And for the future, maybe like I'm also thinking of grad school. Like I'm thinking of like maybe also in the US again, but I'm still not sure. I'm thinking about like expanding my computer science towards like something else. So like right now I'm probably thinking something about like user experience, like UI, maybe like around that area as well.
Right. So yeah, I think you just want to maybe complement what you already have by taking the next, UI or UX. And that's really interesting that what you have in mind, I was about to ask if you have the interest to go for the grad school in the States, because looking at what you are doing, I think it just fits the scenario where you want to go deeper into more knowledge and having more opportunities in the future. Maybe, try working after you graduate your master degree as well. But regardless of where you feel like doing after you finish maybe your next 2 years of working in New York, I think if you go for the graduate school, you can definitely find Fina or me if you need anything, maybe reading your essay or something like that. I'm sure we will be very, very delighted, right, Fina? Because we already hear what you are doing and everything, and we get to know you. And that's the whole point of you trying to get more of the US education, because you are already there, you know the system, the industry, especially. If we are talking about grad school, it's important to know the industry in the first place and what you want to do afterwards. But yeah, it does make sense that you are going to extend because you learn so much in your current work, right? So I think, Fina, we still have time for maybe another 2 or 3 questions. Do you have any follow-up questions, Fina, on this OPT and working experience and everything? But yeah, I'm just a bit curious how, like among your friends or your cohort, like how common is this OPT thing? Is it hard to get? Is it very competitive? Because that's what we heard these days. It's very competitive, but please enlighten us.
So I feel like with OPT, it's easier to get, like once they make sure that like all your documentation is correct and that you have a job lined up, I feel like it's really easy to apply to OPT. The hardest one is H-1B, which is like, it's another visa. It's like, it's basically like, it's separate from your F visa when you study in the US, while OPT is like attached to your F1 visa. H-1B is another visa. If you want to apply and you want to work for like, I don't remember, I think it's 6 or 7 years. And usually the sponsor is not the school, the sponsor is the employer. But that's really hard to get. Like I tried that lottery like earlier this year and I didn't get it. It's like lottery based. I think they're going to change the system next year, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's harder to get. And I mean, I'm going to go to grad school after I finish this 3 years anyway. So like, I don't really need it. I don't really need the H-1B. Yeah, but it's pretty competitive. I feel like what's more competitive is like the job market, especially like graduating in a pandemic. feel like it's really hard in the job market to like find a job, and like it's a really frustrating experience. And some of my friends actually like end up like going back to Indonesia because like, I mean, like some of them wants to go back to Indonesia, some of them like couldn't find a job here. But yeah, I feel like also like there's a lot of my friends also who are here, still here, like on OPT. So I feel like it's in terms of OPT, it's pretty easy. What's hard is the H1B.
All right. Cool. Thank you for, encouraging us. So it's clear now that OPT is not lottery based. The H1B is, because H1B is the working visa. It's completely different from OPT. And if we are talking about when you go there as an international student, you probably shouldn't be thinking about H1B at all, because the chances of us getting that H1B is going to be a lot more harder compared to those professionals who, have years of experience and everything like that and try to get the H1B instead of international students, right? But Patricia, so you already, got 1 year of OPT and then you're going to extend it. And so that's 3 years of working experience. And after that, if you plan to go for the master's, I hope things will go well on that. And I'm sure you can do that. And Fina, I think, we love the session so much that I think I have more questions, but I'm still looking on which one.
Yeah, I just kind of like want to make a little comment about like this OPT thing. I'm very also fortunate to able to experience OPT when I graduated from college. And now that I'm with Education USA, that's kind of like one of the main things that I like to brag about to people when they come here and then they want to know more about studying in the US is the OPT, because I feel like this program is just like really, really amazing. You are technically, like what Patricia said, you're still attached to the your student visa. And then again, it's not lottery based. The lottery based is the H1B visa, which is the working visa, is completely different. So, the fact that not only we are able to study in the US, but then they also allow us to do this OPT, like automatically, like we need to apply before we graduate to get kind of like this, I don't know, they call it this one card, the OPT card, if I still remember. SSN. And then, not SSN, what is it, Patricia? The
EAD.
There you go. The kind of like authorization type of card for you in order to kind of like, when you got, I don't know, like when you get stopped by whatever, and then they ask you, what is your status here in the US? And you just kind of like flash that card saying that you're actually, legal in the US, right? Yeah. So the fact that we are allowed to get that type of, like program, I think it's really amazing. And I like to tell people that regardless what is your intention, is it like going back to Indonesia, do something for the country, which we always love, and I'm pretty sure Patricia is definitely going to do that as well, hopefully, for do something for the country. It's such a wonderful experience, right, to have at least experience that for 12 months if it's possible. I know that like with this COVID it's very challenging, but I'm really glad, Patricia, that you're actually able to to
get the job.
To get the job is actually really, really amazing.
It's such a good opportunity.
So for anyone who's watching this, not a lot of people actually know about OPT, and you don't have to worry that you have to understand the whole thing, but then that's what we are here for. If the next time you want to know more about it, just let us know and then we'll be able to answer that.
And I will add a bit more just because I just remember it. If we are talking about working as an international student in the United States, not only OPT is available for international students, but you can also work under your F1 student visa, of course, on campus. So you can work up to 20 hours per week, and you will be paid hourly based when you work on campus. So the type of the kinds of work, the roles and everything, it depends on what are available on your campus. It can be different from one to another campus. So those are another opportunity if you think about what are the perks of studying in the States. Instead of just the program, maybe it's flexible and everything. But yes, you can work up to 20 hours per week. But of course, those wages or salary is not enough for you to pay for your tuition fee. And I love how they designed this. It's up to 20 hours per week because they want to make sure that international students go there to study instead of going there to work.
And about that,
yeah.
something, sorry to cut you off.
No, that's
before I
fine.
forgot. And about that, and I got some comments, not just once, but a couple of people kind of, I don't want to go study in the US because I want to pick other countries because it's easier for me to work. And then my comment would be, well, do you want to work or you want to study?
Exactly.
And so I feel like that 20 hours a week set by the US government it's amazing. I mean, I think it's just enough, for you to still focus on studying, but then at the same time, just couple of hours in a day, right, to work and earn, a little bit of pocket money. But be mindful that a lot of people also ask this question: can I actually, work, this 20 hours a week for paying my, like tuition or even like accommodation? And the answer is no, unfortunately, because when you do the calculation, it's actually not like that much. But it's enough for you to kind of like pocket money in a way, and maybe kind of like your meals and other expenses. That would be nice. So yeah.
Or if you are really keen on having more working opportunities in the future, you can save that up and use that to apply for the OPT, because Patricia mentioned you need to pay a certain amount of money and she saved up for that. So that's another, things that you can do on that. And before I forget, the 20 hours per week, I think it's just the best balance, Fina, and Patricia, based on my experience, because if you go beyond that, it will affect on the hours that you can spend for you to study or maybe socialize as an international student. And you don't want to sacrifice either one, because that's like, the whole point why you go to the United States as an international student. So 20 hours per week to me is ideal. And you don't have to worry if your work is going to overwhelm you and you're going to fail some classes or whatever. That's why the limit is there, and only on campus. So you cannot get another job outside of campus or some grocery store or whatever. You cannot do that. It will violate your student visa status. So that's that on, working experience and opportunities. Patricia, if you have any more things to add to that, feel free to add it. And before we close it within I think we still got 10 minutes, Fina?
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely true. I definitely resonate with that. Even for me, 15 hours is like enough.
Yeah, definitely. And you don't, once you get a job on campus, you don't have to worry about all of the documentations and kind of like the permit or like what I asked Fina and Patricia just now, the SSN. It's something to do with the tax, and you don't have to worry about that because they will appoint you to the office where you can make that documentation. You just need to bring the stuff that they request you to bring. And for Patricia, you mentioned once you get the OPT approved, you just need to get accepted for a job. Am I right? And that's like everything like that. Everything after that will went smoothly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's that. And I think Fina, for our last question, is going to be Patricia's message for a high schooler here or anyone who wish to study in United States and maybe considering community college, or the chances are, what are the chances me going to transfer to such a highly selective universities if I go to community college, or as simple as regardless of community college, maybe just studying in the States for the bachelor degree?
Yeah, I feel like in terms of chances, I feel like nothing is impossible if you prepare. If you prepare and if you like are actually serious in achieving your dreams, I feel like nothing's impossible. Like I thought I wasn't going to get into any of the Ivy Leagues, but then or any of the selective schools, but I mean I did. So I feel like there's a chance for everyone as long as you prepare, as long as you prepare, and as long as you're serious in achieving that.
Mm-hmm. My question, one of my last question. Well, I think I have two. For those who are still unsure about studying in the U.S., what would you say based on your experience that you got for the past like 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
What can
I
you
feel
share?
like the US, like I feel like if you're still unsure in the US, like it's good to like kind of like explore the choices that you have, because the US education system is very multifaceted. Like you can go in community college or you can go directly to a four-year university. Even those four-year universities, there's like different types of universities. There's like small liberal arts schools, there's like big state universities, there's like Ivy Leagues, there's like maybe like smaller like school, more experimental schools, etc. There's like maybe specialized schools like MIT, like it's more technology school. So yeah, so like there's a lot of options that you can choose. I feel like it's great to like explore those options, and I feel like once you find what you're interested in and once you find your place, I feel like it's going to be really easy to be sure of your choice.
Do you have friends who are continuing their studies outside the US?
Uh, yes, like I have some. I mean, like not like friends, but like acquaintances.
Or maybe like your high school friends?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like my high school friends, a lot of them like they go to school everywhere, like around the world.
Do you guys like talk and then like start comparing, like, oh, this is how I do it here in the US? You know what, this is my favorite question, I think. Making like a
Must
comparison,
ask. Yes.
we are so biased, right? I mean, hello, I'm in the USA, but I like to actually, other countries will hate me for this, but like I would like to hear if you know from your friends, like, oh, this is how I do it, and then you kind of like compare them and you feel like, but I like it better here in the US on how things are, being done.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I compare that a lot, especially to like friends who study computer science in Indonesia or in other countries. Like mostly like I mean like it also depends on like different countries, because like most Asian countries, like if you study computer science, you just get into the curriculum. Like
Yes.
your first day, you take intro to computer science and like a bunch of math. Like you don't take anything else. And like I don't know, if it's your thing, then okay. But like it's not my thing. Like my thing is like I like to explore. Since I was like in maybe like since I was born, I'm really interested in a lot of things, not just computer science. So I feel like studying in the US, it's really nice, because then like even if you're a computer science major, you can take other classes. You can take a minor that's like completely not related to computer science. Like you're not limited by that, and you also take a lot of like general education courses that might not relate to your major. And I think like that's what I like the most about American education, is that you can explore other stuff besides your major.
I'm sorry. I think for those of you who are ready to like really experience being a completely new person, or like ready to able to think outside the box, because just listening to Patricia, since it's just like it's for me, it's like as if you're like so much, as in like in a good way, like you value diversity, and then you join this and you join that, and then now you really experience like a lot being in the US from like this education. So you're basically like living, studying, and working in the US. You get all of that package, and I think it's just really wonderful. So yeah, for those of you who are kind of like unsure, or you are like it's almost guaranteed, I feel like, when you study in the US, at least for that 4 years, by the time you're going back, you just kind of like learn so much from the country, right? Because they really value diversity and everything. Okay, I promise you, this is going to be my very last question. Unless, Santika, do you have anything?
I don't. I'm really happy with this whole session, because we kind of like cover so many things, inside out, like how you feel, what you did and what you learned and everything. And also I feel like we can do this maybe next time again,
Absolutely. You know what? We definitely going to keep in touch with Patricia, because Patricia said that she's going to continue master's degree, and then that's going to be on another different topic. We would love to hear that. Hopefully Patricia is down.
I know Patricia mentioned she's not sure if she's going to apply for a master in the States or not, but Fina and I just going to assume that you are going to. Just because we know you will fit in well there, Yeah.
Yeah. And the closing question is, how do people contact you?
They can contact me through my email, patricia.adioso@gmail.com. I will type in the comments later.
Okay.
Or
are you also on LinkedIn? Probably. That's
yes. Search my full name on LinkedIn. Connect with me.
There you go.
And I feel like just send me, like, when you send me the invitation, like, send me a note that you came from here, because I can like filter you from the spams. So that's gonna be really helpful for me. Thank you. Yes. So LinkedIn, email. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And our past speakers also mentioned that too. It seems like there are a lot of kind of like spam messages. So definitely would be like really great idea for you guys if you want to contact Patricia to kind of like mention that you get the contact from this event. So Patricia kind of like aware that, this is from America's event.
Ini kenapa mati ya?
Team, thank you so much, Patricia. We'll definitely stay in touch. And I would like to give it back to our amazing e-guide, Jasmine.
All right. Thank you so much, Kafina and Kasantika, and also Kak Patricia for joining us this evening. So earlier in the event, I asked you guys a social media question, and the question was, true or false, attending a community college can be a good way for students to transition to a higher education institution and learn at their own pace. So is that true or false? That statement is actually true. This is especially true for students who struggled in high school or anyone who's unsure if they want to invest their time and money in college. So shout out to our winner from Instagram, Nadia Chahyadi. So earlier in the event, America is having a giveaway as part of our 10th anniversary celebration and also the month of togetherness. We're inviting you guys to participate so you guys don't miss out on receiving a feast for feast. So how can you guys participate? It's really easy. You guys can post a picture with your family and friends doing something together and describe it on your caption with the hashtag #MayWe. For more information, you guys can go to the link at atam.tv/MayWe. Now, for those of you who are wondering, how can you develop an awesome idea at an awesome place like At America? It's really easy. You guys can just go to our website at www.atamerica.or.id, select Creative Program, and go to collaborate with us. All proposals coming to us will be reviewed, and your event might be featured here soon. And while you guys are on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you guys get weekly updates sent straight to your inbox. We won't spam you, we promise, just once a week. And also, don't forget to follow us on our social media for fun content and many more. Hope you guys have a good evening and see you at the next At America TV event. Bye-bye, everybody.